film in which he relives the same day again and again, each day hoping that it's the next. We are here today to hope we break the repeated cycle of underfunding our schools and begin a new day. My name is Chris Jones, and I serve as the Executive Director for VASCD. I also serve as the Chair for the Virginia Public Education Coalition, and we are here today to introduce our group, outline our legislative priorities, and share our particular attention to the JLARC recommendations for implementation throughout this session. The Virginia Public Education Coalition, VPEC, provides a unified voice in advocating for and improving K-12 education in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and believes that public education provides direct benefits to students and families, as well as society at large. The coalition views 6 key purposes of public education as core to supporting families, communities, and student success. 1, teaching students cognitive and social skills. 2, prepare students to be responsible, contributing citizens in a democratic society. 3, build character. 4, help students in a process of self-discovery. 5, inspire students through the study of humanity's great works and missteps. And 6, prepare students for productive careers. VPEC consists of 12 organizations, including the Virginia Association of Colleges for Teacher Education, Virginia Association of Secondary School Principals, Virginia Counselors Association, Virginia Parent-Teacher Association, Virginia Association of Elementary School Principals, Virginia School Boards Association, Virginia Education Association, Virginia School Counselor Association, Virginia Association of School Superintendents, Virginia Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development, Virginia Middle School Association, and Virginia Professors of Educational Leadership. VPEC serves as a resource for law and policymakers at all levels, and we've established 5 legislative priorities for this session: compensation, priority recommendations from the 2023 JLARC report, public funds staying with public schools, mental health, and modernization of infrastructure. Today's presser will dive more deeply into the priority recommendations from the 2023 JLARC report. Our first organization to share information about the support cap is the Virginia Association of School Superintendents, followed by VEA, Virginia PTA, VSBA, and VAESP, with other JLARC priority recommendations.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning here in Richmond before this august group. I'm Scott Brabrand, Executive Director for the Virginia Association of School Superintendents, and today I want to address a critical issue that impacts the quality of education for all of our students: the pressing need for increased funding for school support staff. The provision of more support staff is not just a financial matter, it's an investment in the well-being and success of all of our students. As we navigate the challenges faced by our schools, it's imperative to recognize the profound impact that support staff have on students' academic, social, and emotional development. These individuals play a crucial role in addressing the barriers that students face, allowing them to reduce those barriers and fully engage in the learning process. Unfortunately, for well over a decade, the state has imposed a cap on investments in school support staff, resulting in underfunding for these critical positions. This has denied students the support they need to thrive. This arbitrary cap, implemented in 2010, has forced school divisions to make difficult decisions, impacting jobs like classroom instructional assistants, technology personnel, as well as maintenance and administrative support positions. Now is the time to rectify the situation. We propose, along with our VPEC partners, fully removing the support cap methodology and advocating for a more equitable funding approach with standards quality. This support cap removal also includes identifying additional specific support positions for addressing social and emotional needs, such as school nurse positions, psychologist positions, and behavioral specialists. We are here to support the budget amendment and bills that strike the language establishing the support positions cap, allowing schools to receive funding based on their actual needs. The recent shortages in support staff, exacerbated by the pandemic, have negatively impacted our schools. Lifting support cap is not just a financial decision, It's a commitment to providing our students with the resources necessary for a quality education. Support positions are not just members on a budget sheet or numbers on a budget sheet. They're frontline people who are directly addressing the challenges faced by our students, especially those from low-income families and our students of color. From reducing chronic absenteeism to fostering a positive school climate, these individuals are essential. In conclusion, progress has been made. In the last General Assembly budget session, legislators working across the aisle and working with the governor did partially remove the support cap. Now, this time, working together again, it's time to finish the job. By fully lifting the cap, we are taking a significant step toward building a public education system here in the Commonwealth of Virginia that works for all. I also want to express my gratitude to the VPEC group and Chris Jones, the executive director, for providing an opportunity for VASS to present our position this morning to you regarding the full removal of the support cap. Thank you all for your time and attention, and have a great morning.
Good morning, everyone. I am James Fetterman, proud president of the Virginia Education Association, and I would like to talk to you today about the elimination of the linear weighted average. With the record high vacancies in our classrooms, Virginia is heading in a dangerous direction that needs immediate correction. The average Virginia teacher pay this year is estimated to be below $64,000 compared to the pre-pandemic average of over $67,000 when adjusted for inflation. With teacher pay eroding dramatically over the past 4 years due to inflation, it's no wonder Virginia is one of the few states to have seen teacher shortages get worse in the 2022-2023 school year and not better. For more than 3 decades now, the state has been relying on an Ukraine cost-saving measure that inaccurately deflates the average teacher pay far below the state average. In 1992, amid a large budget deficit, state lawmakers decided to use an arbitrary formula to calculate the average teacher salaries that would pay its fair share for teacher salaries. By using an approach more heavily weighted, mostly small school divisions with salaries close to the median, we minimize the weights for most of our largest school divisions in the state, which tend to have higher average teacher salaries. The JLARC report found that in 2001, the report stated that the linear weighted average was an arbitrary cost savings measure that did not make sense. That did not make sense in 2001, and here we are in 2024, and it still does not make sense. And it found the same thing in the SOQ report that was recently presented in 2023. With all that being said, it is time to do away with an outdated method to artificially deflate the state's contribution to teacher salaries. Let's not let this JLARC report recommendation be another Groundhog Day. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jenna Alexander. I'm the president of the Virginia PTA and a proud parent of public school students. I'm going to talk with you today about funding to support our low-income students, and specifically the at-risk add-on program, which is flexible, supplemental funding that school divisions can use to provide instructional support or targeted services for our students living in poverty. There's 2 things that we're asking the General Assembly to address this session to benefit our economically disadvantaged students. First is to add the at-risk add-on program into the standards of quality. So right now, the at-risk add-on program is considered non-essential, even though the instruction and support that it provides are critical for student achievement. Because the at-risk add-on program is voluntary, school divisions don't receive the at-risk funding if their local government doesn't want to or can't provide the matching funds. So we need to treat the at-risk add-on program as the essential funding that it is and include it in the standards of quality. The second item that we're asking to be addressed is how we are counting the number of economically disadvantaged students. Right now, the enrollment count is determined using free and reduced meal applications. However, many school divisions no longer collect the free and reduced meal applications because they started offering free school meals under the Federal Community Eligibility Program. This means that the data that we're using to determine funding is several years old. This is particularly alarming because for the past 10 years, while we've had the support cap in place, the number of students living in poverty has increased from 27.8% of the student population to 42.9% of the student population. So this is old data resulting in a systemic undercounting of our economically disadvantaged students. So we're asking for student poverty to be determined using the Federally Identified Student Percentage, or ISP. This has been calculated since 2020. It provides a consistent measure of school-level student poverty based on participation in government benefit programs like TANF, SNAP, and Medicaid. So this is a Groundhog Day wake-up call. We need to break this cycle. This is not about if Virginia has been paying its fair share of the actual costs of educating our kids. What we're talking about today is outdated, inaccurate formulas determining Virginia's education funding in a way that disadvantages our most at-risk kids. And so I want to turn it over to the School Board Association to talk about our special education children.
Good morning.
Good morning.
They always place me behind such dynamic speakers. My name is Dr. Cardell Patillo, and I'm the president of the Virginia School Boards Association, and VSB is a proud founding member of the Virginia Public Education Coalition, an organization that advances public education policies in the Commonwealth. The JLARC report released this past summer was no surprise to school board members, administrators, and educators in Virginia, because it told us what we've known for the last 20 years. The Commonwealth has not meeting the financial obligations to fund our public schools. I want to specifically address our students with special needs. This population of students is growing, and the challenges these students face are great. Virginia must do more to support the education of one of our most challenged student populations by fully funding the state's share of special education. Virginia also must do more to identify the true staffing needs and special education so our students with special needs can thrive. The findings in the JLARC report should be a wake-up call for all people concerned with the future of our children and the Commonwealth. It is time to act on the recommendations of the JLARC report and build a stronger, more vibrant system of K-12 education for all Virginia students. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Krista Arnold, and I'm the Executive Director for the Virginia Association of Elementary School Principals. As an elementary school principal for more than 2 decades, I understand the challenges of educating all the students who walk through our doors. Schools do not have control over how many students requiring additional services, such as our English language learners, attend their schools. We do know that our English learners require additional supports to be successful in school. Those additional supports cost additional dollars. Under the current funding formula, our English language learners saw the largest percentage drop of any student group in reading, in math, and in science on state SOLs between 2019 and 2022. Virginia ranks 32nd out of 46 states, including DC, on the average 4th grade reading scores for English learners, according to 2022 NAEP data. Without the funding to provide our English language learners, students, and education that they need, every day will be Groundhog Day for them. We support Policy Option 5 in the JLARC report. This is an interim step to moving towards a student-weighted funding system. Thank you.
I had my eye keenly on the door, and I will continue to watch the door. But today's General Assembly members who have joined us to share some words are Delegates Rasul and Simons.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to be with you all to talk about some important priorities. I remember rushing through when I was young. Y'all are young bucks here, but way back when I was young, I remember rushing through the lunch line as fast as I could, because I was so embarrassed as a kid, I had a card about this size, a little punch card. That's how we used to do free lunch back then. I didn't want anyone to see my lunch card. And they used to make the kids keep their card, well, in my school. So I had to make sure that I kept it in my pocket all week. I don't know how we did it in elementary school. And they would, I remember there would be different colors. And, you know, as a proud product of public schools, I had some awesome teachers along the way that helped me in many different ways. As we look at these recommendations, and I can speak to the policy of it, but it's a reminder for me that we're not talking about education. We're talking about social justice, economic justice. We are talking about, I think, what we believe, especially in the richest country in the world, that these are fundamental rights to be able to self-actualize and to be our best selves. In school, educating children is just a part of the story. It is about raising us. My third grade teacher taught me how to get rid of my hiccups, right? When I was acting up, I know that my fourth grade teacher, and I was a bad kid in fourth grade, and she put me in the back of the class, and she put me, I remember a few months in, she put me next to another student, and she said, I need you to help this other student with her math. I was a bad kid, but I actually did very well in math. She was encouraging me to tutor, and then eventually put me into a gifted program afterwards. She saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, that I had no clue existed. And it wouldn't be, I certainly wouldn't be the person I am without Dr. Marilyn Harmon, Dr. Bullard, and many other people along the way. So as we move forward, we certainly, when we talk about at-risk add-on, I was one of those at-risk kids. As a child of immigrants, certainly how we fund our ELL programs are top of mind. As a child who was labeled in first and second grade, so the other part of the story is in first and second grade, I was a child they labeled with learning disabilities. They called us LDs back in the 80s. And by the end of the fourth grade, I told you about Miss Bullard, who put me in the gifted program. This is the story of our lives and the journeys that we make. So as you all know the policies, we're fighting very hard. We certainly will have to make tough decisions. But as we celebrate, it's not only Groundhog's Day, but as we celebrate Black History Month, we are reminded that the struggle for justice is a curve that we hope to continue to bend. And I appreciate all of the organizations. I think you covered like every organization in Virginia, but what a broad and beautiful coalition it is as we come together to fight for something that is certainly bigger than ourselves. And I hope that one day when I leave this august body, I hope that I can leave it a little bit better than when I came in. So thank you for everything that you all do, and hopefully we will be able to fund a number of these priorities to make you proud. Thank you. My friend and vice chair, Delegate Shelley Simons.
Thank you. Thank you for coming together to address this really important issue. I'm Delegate Shelley Simons. I'm a former school teacher, and I represent part of Newport News in the Virginia House. We had an earthquake of a study come from JLARC last summer, and it told us what we already knew. We are systematically underfunding public education in Virginia. And it pains me because we are a wealthy state. We are in the top 10 most wealthy states in the country, and yet we are nickel and diming our kids, our families, our teachers. We've heard through various retreats and meetings that we've had since the study came out that our formula is out of date. It's a messy layer cake of formula on top of formula, ways to try to correct for different distortions. And now, the problem is, it's not only out of date, but now it's not equitable, it's not transparent, and it's not working. The people who need to use this formula as a tool to understand, project what is funding going to be like for us next year are having trouble using the formula. Politicians can't use the formula. Superintendents, chief financial officers have a lot of difficulty with the formula. So we really need to reform it now. This is the year. We've been talking about it for a long time, and this is the year we are determined to get this done. I have 3 bills that address the findings of the study. One is the big one, HB 359, and that will finally lift the remnants of the support staff cap on the necessary school staffing positions that we need. I also have HB 360 that requires better data on what the current formula says and requires the DOE to biannually compare what the formula says and what is actually being spent, right? The formula says we should be spending $1 billion on staff, and it's really 1.7 billion. It's something, those numbers aren't quite right, but it's something close, right?
The formula says that we should be spending 11 billion, and we're actually spending 17 billion.
11 billion, and we're actually spending 17 billion. So it's an important bill because it will at least be an accountability tool and give us data as we're moving forward about what's actually happening on the ground so that we're not fooling ourselves, because I think we've been fooling ourselves for too long. And then finally, I have HJ 67, which I'm very excited about, and honestly, I'm quite honored that it was chosen as one of the studies that at least the House has nominated to be undertaken, and that's where I'm really excited to describe it to all of you, because you get to be partners if we can get this study finalized. What it does, first, it puts together a subcommittee, a new subcommittee of House and Senate education members to tackle this problem. And the first thing the subcommittee does is they do an adequacy study with a consulting firm. And I worked with the VEA on what this consulting firm would be required to do. So it's an adequacy study first. And then the committee has to do some kind of public outreach plan that involves steering committees. And that's why I wanted just to take a moment to tell you about this, because the steering committees, we need community engagement on. In Tennessee, they went through this kind of public comment period on the funding formula, and they had 17 steering committees. Parents of students with disabilities, English language learners, teachers, school districts, small rural school districts, chief financial officers, principals, you name it. But I want to draw attention to it because I want you all to be part of that steering committee process. I want you to be thinking about what steering committees we need and who is going to lead these community-based discussions. We need to engage the entire Commonwealth around this issue in order to move forward. And then lastly, I think I could take a moment for point of personal privilege while we wait for our senators to come. But back in 2009, I remember when the formula was changed, and it definitely sent a ripple through my school district. And the word went out that everyone who was on a part-time contract was going to be cut. And we had, I think it was like 300 part-time teachers lost their jobs, and I was one of those teachers. And it really changed my life. I loved teaching, but I wasn't ready to go full-time, so I was fortunate. My district was lovely, and they offered me a full-time job, but I wasn't ready for that. But that's the reason I ended up leaving teaching, was basically because of what happened during a recession. And it's amazing to me now what an honor and privilege it is to take on that formula, because I know personally how damaging it is to the teaching workforce. And I know personally how important it is to have those wraparound services for our students. So thank you for letting me talk a little bit too long, but I guess I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Can I get our speakers to join me up here? Thank you so much for coming out today on this Groundhog's Day, and the gentle reminder that it is also African American History Month. At this time, we're happy to take any questions that might be in the room.
Virginia Mercury. I just wanted to get the coalition's first reactions to the assignment of rules. Just remarks there.
I'll speak for the group, and if anybody would like to follow up. Very refreshing. We're privileged to work with both delegates who have been so committed to getting this right. I think both of them have realized this is the time, and their actions and their bills that are on the floor, to me, speak for themselves. I don't know if anyone else would like to share any thoughts, any initial reactions.
I think I'd make one other comment. As a lifelong Virginian, we're seeing today from these two the elevation of educators into the policy-making position. And it's time for the voices of the classroom, of the school districts to be heard and to be properly supported and funded. And now is the time to fully support public education in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We can do it, and I think we're building a coalition across the entire Commonwealth to make this vision a reality. Thank you.
What gives the coalition confidence that the governor's going to back some of these bills should they get through this desk?
Let's just say we appreciate some of the pieces for education that have been included in the governor's budget, but he needs to do more. We need to go much further. Like we've talked about today, this is very personal to everybody. We know that our kids are sitting in those classrooms, they benefit from the additional funding, our teacher workforce benefits from the additional funding, and when we invest in education, it's a generational investment in the success and health and well-being, not just of our kids and our families, but also of our communities. And when we have strong education funding, it also brings people into the Commonwealth. So I think this is the best thing that we can do for the Commonwealth, is to invest in the economic success, health, and well-being by investing in education.
And just a question for the lawmakers. As far as getting all of this done, does it look so far at this point, could all that get done, or is there going to be some bills still left on the table for now?
No comment. It is a collective conversation that we're going to try to, as you know, we're just pieces of
the machinery here, and we're gonna be doing our best to make sure we're fighting very hard. I wish that the governor had done much more, and given us a baseline that was reasonable, to kind of start with. We have so much to do to just get to a reasonable baseline. In other words, the raise, as I've publicly said before, didn't even keep up with inflation, the modest one, and just in the second year. And so we are going to be doing our best to look at and fund as many of the JLARC priorities that we can. Appreciate that we've got a lot to do on teacher raises, and then see what more we can be doing with, in particular, on things like English language learner funding.
All right, thank you, and have a great rest of your day.